Hey everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldai, your host, the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting, and now publisher at Autonomy Global. Great to have you back. We are concluding an incredible month that we've dedicated to the theme of data-driven ops. And when we were creating this month and I was looking around what companies would be amazing to have on the show, I thought to myself, gNext, because I have met Bret Gardner, who's here with us today, a couple of years ago, and I've been watching this company and watching what he's been doing. And so it's terrific to have you on the show finally, Bret.
Hey, Don, great to be here with you. And also it was great to be with you at Geo Week and the Full Live crew. Looking forward to our discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody, if you missed our full crew event stream from Geo Week a couple weeks back in Denver, gNext did sponsor that. Bret was the first speaker. We'll drop that link for you. So go back and what a great event that was. And we got to talk to a whole bunch of different people, companies from the floor, including one from Poland. So check that out. And some of your partners who we're going to talk about here today, Bret. That's exciting. So before we talk about gNext and everything you're doing there, let's talk about you first. For those that don't know you, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born. No, we won't go back.
I was born a baby.
No, a serial entrepreneur, and kind of where I cut my teeth in this space. Some of you may know a company called Juniper Unmanned. I was brought on to help run the geospatial as well as the SciTech dealer network for Trimble globally when we were training the trainers. I couldn't even spell photogrammetry at the time, and still sometimes spell check. Right, exactly. But no, at that time, it was very interesting, where the technology was when a demo for flight was, wow, it stays in the air. It wasn't about this data driven, and we were taking hard drives full of LiDAR data down to the Colorado Department of Transportation, only for them to upload it into their computers, crash it. It was the most highly accurate data that no one could use or share.
Wow.
Fast forward to today, now we can do that with a simple link. So it's very, very exciting times. But for me, I said, at heart, I'm a relationship person. And again, that's, with all of our relationships, working with the federal highways, whether it's DOTs or the utilities, I'm finding it fascinating. The more and more this technology advances, the more and more people want to work with folks they know, like, and trust. And that's kind of becoming our MO in the industry. Hey, these are the good guys you want to do business with. P.S. Their tech's pretty solid.
Yeah. Know, like, and trust. New tagline for gNext. I love it. But, a great segue, because you mentioned having to schlep a hard drive, down to some Department of Transportation, watch their system crash with the, megawatts or gigabytes or whatever of data. And so was that the inspiration for gNext? Like, tell us a little bit about the origin story for the company.
It's actually it's a fantastic story that starts with a gentleman who is our CEO, co-founder, and leads our dev team, Abraham Lama, from the Dominican Republic, did not speak the language, and says, "Hey, I'm going to go to the States to study," and lo and behold, gets a Fulbright scholarship, multiple master's degrees, PhD in civil engineering. But this spawned out of the Matrix, and he was watching. He said, "Wow, there's robots fixing infrastructure," and he said, "Hey, this photogrammetry, this machine learning, hey, this could happen in my lifetime." And that set off 10 years ago. We're a 7-year-old company, and it's a remarkable story. If you go to gNextLabs.com, there's a blog article that tells the story. It's an amazing story, wonderful. And Russ Ellis entered as presidents once they had an MVP there in Virginia, from the investment group. He was so enamored that he said, "Hey, I'd like, come on as the president and help guide the company." And my 3-year anniversary will be March 15th. And so from these, and just they've been dog years from, in the 3 years that I've been here, it's been absolutely remarkable. So it's a wonderful story, and it's just getting started.
No, that's amazing. So for people that don't know, because they may not know gNext, they will after this, but tell them exactly kind of in a nutshell what you guys do.
Well, we're a SaaS, so it's a software as a service, and what we're doing is helping empower this digital transformation tsunami of a wave we're riding globally. And it's an intelligence platform at an asset or project level. And what what's fascinating is really as a SaaS, so we control our own technology, photogrammetry engine, visualization, reporting, machine learning, augmented intelligence, so on and so forth, which allows us to be very nimble to request. But really, at the end of the day, the problem that we're solving is just the visualization, management, and critically important sharing of the vast amounts of data that's now captured at that remote sensing level to empower visual inspection, asset management, and survey mapping.
And the image we're seeing here, we just saw, that's basically a visualization of the data that you can basically get through your system.
Correct. And just kind of the workflow is that you're going to design a capture area. Say, I want to see X, and then you're going to send the ship or sensor, whichever, to capture that data. And then that's when gNext would get involved. And by involved, I mean, it's the platform. We only get involved if there's a question or a problem, but as you start a project, you're going to give it a name. And a real key differentiator is we've made it really the easy button. We've got 42 unique asset types, which when you're processing, there's 3 bridges, 3 cell towers, as a nuclear cooling tower, survey, mapping, crash scenes. But what that does, it calls on a very specific algorithm to get the most out of that data when it's being processed. And then, yes, our models are beautiful and crisp, but that's probably about 10% of the value of the platform. It's all the engineering tools, the analytic tools, and being able to look at an asset over time as well. So we're really getting a condition-based assessment over time, which will really be the leading edge of predictive maintenance and analysis. I mean, that's really where the puck is going.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all know it's all about the data, right? I mean, that's why we kind of picked a theme this month, because at the end of the day, drones, and that's what a lot of people are using. Actually, that's a great question, Bret. I'm going to deviate from script here. I assume that your system can ingest data from a whole host of sources, not just from drones?
Correct. We're ship and sensor agnostic, so it could be satellite, manned, unmanned, mobile, aerial, terrestrial, sonar, bathymetric lidar, and so it's the fusion of all that data and the analytic tools. Ingesting design files to be able to to see as-built or surveys, or other orthos, or any other meshes made in other models. Again, it's more of an intelligence platform than it is a modeling tool.
Okay, awesome. Now, you mentioned bridges, you mentioned towers. So when I hear these things, I think critical infrastructure, but what types of industries really benefit from gNext and what you do?
Well, if you pull up that, what we said, we serve 8 different verticals, and the platform is very wide to that. I would say probably are the areas that are most transportation and utilities are probably the largest that we do. Public safety is coming on very strong. What's really fascinating, if you look at FlowCon and some of these other, disaster recovery, it's how the PDs, the fire departments, and the hazmat groups are working in conjunction with the DOT and the utilities in these disasters. And so that shareability of data is very important. But many, like I said, all the areas that you see covered. Telecom is a huge one, but it's also not just telecommunications. It's broadcast towers, it's radio towers. Again, maintaining all those, and that's we'll talk about it later. But that's another knowledge base that we've got growing very, very quickly, along with inside Inspect Assist.
All right, so we're going to talk about your partners eventually, but as I listen to you, I think about these 8 basically target sectors that benefit from gNext. So who are your clients in these spaces? In other words, who are the stakeholders that are leveraging your software as a service? Are they just the data collectors? Are they the engineers, the DOT personnel, all of the above? I mean, you tell me.
Great question, and it's always kind of funny when we have this conversation daily. We kind of help serve three food groups: people that capture data, service providers that capture data, asset owners, and the consultants that serve them. If that makes sense. So
Nice.
the likes of Southern Company, Alabama DOT, Stantec. We are a global company. The likes of Network Rail, Vinci. We can go on and on. There's, that's just a very small subset of those that are moving to standardize on our platform. Because again, everyone's wrestling, whether you're an AE and C, architect, engineer, construction firm, or an asset owner, or whichever. Everyone's trying to get out of the into the third dimension, and being able to do that. And so we're all migrating together. I mean, we work very closely with Federal Highways and all of the DOTs to help change and adopt new standards for UAS specific, but really it's remote sense data.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned kind of the traditional way to have to do things was to take a hard drive somewhere and upload it. Through your platform then, is this cloud-based, or exactly how does this work from the field to a computer or something that one of these food group people, if you will, can actually see and use?
Great question, and that's a struggle too. Getting quality data from the field to the decision maker, right? You said it's all about the data. The commander. I mean, it doesn't matter your battlefield, whether it's a utility grid, whether it's a highway. They need to make decisions, and that remote sense data's got to get there. We'll talk about some of our other partners and how we move it, but ultimately, we've got cloud-to-cloud integrations with some. We have drag and drop, or we're plug an SD card in that'll then flow into gNext, and that's just that you choose what files you want to give it a name, select your drop down, what asset type I'm in, and then hit upload and process. It's really the easy button. And once the upload is finished, processing kicks off, and then when you'll receive, when processing is complete, you receive an email with your link, says your project's ready. And here's what's really critical about when it comes back, because that's when you're going to either start to exploit the data or interrogate it, or most importantly is going to start to share it and get other subject matter experts, other collaborators, and that could be engineers, that could be internal and external stakeholders. And there's lots of different ways to share the data that's protected. So anyway, those are some of it. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it did. What I want to do before we get into the key features of your platform is, do a little bit of bragging here in terms of return on investment, if you will. Like, tell us, how gNext processes inspection data and helps folks actually scale their operations more efficiently.
It said leveraging robotics is adding to the workforce. Having, I'll speak to, JD Darville, who was, and I'll give him a shout out. That was the first DOT to adopt it. Their team did 4,600 missions last year. Wow. 4,600 between 6 pilots. Whoa. So it's remarkable. 80% of that was construction progress management. And so deconfliction on the work site. I mean, ROI, you look at the Washington Bridge, many haven't seen that in the news, but there's 10 AENCs that are caught up in a suit because of inspection, didn't go as planned. And now they just had to remove and tear down 4 lanes in one direction of I-95.
Whoa.
So the economic impact, I mean, we have that here in Denver or on I-70, you get rockfall, it hits the deck, goes through it. It's $1.8 million an hour for disruption. Wow. So but to get very specific, we have one asset owner on behalf of another customer. The data was captured by union pilots on behalf of the architect or the AENC firm, and their words, not ours. And it was for a utility. It reduced the inspection and reporting on that asset by 90%.
Holy shnikes. And my understanding is, Bret,
9-0.
overall, and I mean, 90's like, that's like insanity. But my understanding is overall, over traditional inspections, pick your sector market, we're talking 60% of cost and time compared to traditional. This 90% example you just said blows that.
Well, that was their words, and some are different because again, it's hard to put,
Yeah, average.
mitigation. I mean, you put
Sure.
something in there and then said, wait a second, we just, that's multi-million-dollar. I mean,
Yeah.
we got stuff we're working on, $2.7 billion bridge project. I mean, but to put it into terms, speed and capture, understanding your digital health is huge. But many, like I said, over traditional survey. Well, here's one, and we'll talk about this airport later. And we're automating some of these. So we're coming with end-to-end solutions, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
so there's 14 CFR 77. Typically, it could take them 3 months manually to build a report for the vegetation clearance. Once
At
we
an
release
airport.
at an airport for just the the vegetation encroaching into into the departure and arrival and departure lanes.
Yeah.
3 months, and once the data is in, captured, and collected, that report will be generated in minutes.
Wow.
And
That's
so, I mean, and back in the day, there's sometimes you go to survey something, we use LiDAR to punch it through. It might have taken them months, if they could even do it at all traditionally, and that could be captured in the morning. You
wow.
know what I mean? So just the speed of which projects can move, get verification, and audit is a huge part. Is now you've got a consultant and an asset owner. Did they actually do the work? I mean, it's the data is the data.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You can
for
either
sure.
agree, either agree with it or not agree with it.
Yeah.
But that's just the reality.
Well, good. Look, I want to dive deeper into the key features of the platform. So why don't you walk us through this? I think we have a picture, and then we're going to roll a little video after that. You're going to talk us through. So tell us a little bit more about the platform's features.
Geez, we don't have enough time.
The
Well,
key
and
features of that, the key features.
the key, well, as I said, we control our technology. Some of that is, is the visualization. The reporting is, again, actionable intelligence that comes out of it, but it's got to go from the field. It's got to go processed. It's stitched together. And then we have a lot of auto deliverables. So that could be your textured mesh, your point cloud, 2D ortho, and those are all generated automatically. And so, many are, there's a lot of folks that are data service providers that are capturing data that now can earn more money with some of these auto deliverables. Because some of that's all they want, before engineering, of course, but all the engineering, analytic tools, they go on and on. Inspect assist is where it's, I mean, where the puck is going is we're trying to automate a lot of these processes, but again, being able to double click on the model and bring up the underlying image, because no one's going to inspect off the model,
Right.
but pulling up those underlying images, being able to edit and annotate directly on images. We have the ability to upload, stream, edit, and annotate directly on 360 images, as well as video. And video is really powerful. It's become a great tool. We have a lot of customers that are pre-conning an inspection, or you got a superintendent on a job site, fly it with the video, and now you can upload, the data's in there, and think of each frame now as an image that's editable for reporting purposes. So you can draw
Yeah,
a
I mean,
polygon,
it is.
look here, look here. So again, it's keeping the flow, safety, and that going. But that's a huge feature, and we'll give a shout out to Skydio. One of the things too is they're a technology partner with the cloud-to-cloud integration, but and we know how many folks use the Skydio equipment. It's easy to fly, hard to crash, and then gNext, easy to process, easy to share. That's how the dynamic duo does that. But they also capture low-res video while it's capturing the photogrammetry mission. So that video adds another interesting perspective to that image, because again, it gives you surrounding areas, and that's the .lrv files. We always encourage Skydio users to upload that as well.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Now you said a term, and I want to pause on it because it's an important term, inspect assist. This is your trademarked feature. Tell us what it is and what it does.
Well, inspect assist is just that. It inspects. It is, you know, when we talk about concrete, it's pulling all the defects. And maybe if we could show the
Yeah,
show
we'll roll
that
that
bridge,
video.
that put that yeah, the bridge deck, or actually even in this video, this is a function of it. So this happens to be, again, that's that 14 CFR 77. I believe this is complementary of Tennessee DOT. Again, now we've got the shape files in there, custom layers that have been brought in. That's the design file. Now you can see where that vegetation is encroaching into those runways. And
Oh yeah, so the white area we're seeing, that's kind of the takeoff or approach area, and then you
well,
see
by regulation, that's where
yeah,
that is. And so now
right,
we bring in those shape files. So now anything that is encroaching in that needs to be that's out of compliance and needs to be trimmed. And again, that was taking them 3 months to do, where we're going to automate that, and everything that you saw there will have an X, Y, and Z on each one of those. And so now you
yeah,
can, you know, that's, and now you're 4D, right, over time, but that'll help drive 5 and 60, which is scheduling and maintenance. And so it's getting quicker. They don't have to go clear cut that. You know, think about the environmental impact that, you know, that the DOT's got to go get for this. Now they can go out and send, you know, groups like Davy or Ashland or, you know, whoever those vegetation management contracts are to those DOTs can now go do precision agriculture. And you saw the offset. And
yeah,
so it's a 10-meter offset. So they can actually trim below there, understanding the species of the tree,
yeah.
and know that now we've got that trimmed and we're good for the next 10 years.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Look, a picture paints 1,000 words, and that's what you're doing for so many people. Brett, did you want us to put that bridge picture backed up? It was like the flat one with
Yeah,
the yellow
if you
boxes.
would, and
Yeah,
so
here we go.
that's another, but so inspect assist, which is our first knowledge base was defects in concrete and asphalt, so cracking, spalling, efferescence, exposed rebar, vegetation, so on and so forth. This is what you're seeing is in the AI viewer in a 2D mode, and actually you see the red is cracks. The rest of that has been patched, but you also see in that one patch, you see red coming up. So we're actually seeing defects in patches, right? You
Oh
got cracks
boy.
coming up through work. Well,
Yeah.
again, it's just understanding condition health of the, you know, with materials. But again, you know, extracting those features, and to your point, it is inspect assist. So the data is captured, it's processed. We run that through our engine, and now that's going to go to a subject matter expert, right? Is now you're going to have a consultant that's going to QA QC it and put their stamp and insurance on it. I am not an engineer, nor do I play one on television. So
Yeah. Well,
we're pushing that over to the subject matter expert. And you're going to see that a lot too, is that the capture will be there, but there'll be a third party that's going to
yeah.
put that on there. We see that with cooling towers. We see that in, you know, bridges, roads, communication towers. I mean, there's going to be some element that we're good to do the heavy lift. And so any of the deliverables, which are pushed directly into AutoCAD.
Yeah.
So we got, talk about interoperability for a minute. So integration with Esri, Trimble, Autodesk, all these, is said, everyone screamed for interoperability because there's not all in one. And so we
Yeah.
listen very, very closely to our customers to have that interoperability, you know, and to move into the work environment that they're used to working in.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned that the Inspect Assist leverages artificial intelligence like so many other different technologies do. But to your point, that's not the be all and end all. You still need a human engineer to eyeball that thing, or, you know, the expert, if you will, to validate or say, you know what, actually that, go out and look at it. Actually, that's not a crack, you know, or it is, and it's worse than we thought. So, you know, this is great what you're doing. You know, I don't want to belabor it. We've kind of alluded, you're working with Skydio. You mentioned a couple other companies, these integrations. I want to talk about your partners before we get into some of the cybersecurity aspects of your system.
Sure.
Because like you said, Brett, it's kind of better together, right? Like you guys have an end-to-end solution because you have partnered up with some of the best companies in this space. So tell us a little bit about who they are. And, you know, once again, everybody, I met some of them at GeoWeek, and they were on that stream as well. But go ahead. I'll let you tell us.
Well, we have a lot of different partners, right? And there's strategics, there's resellers, there are ecosystem, there's strategic, you know, they're in many forms. And it's kind of some of what we view as some of the core elements would be live view, which helps push data from the field to the decision maker or to the engine. We have another new one that you met, Larry Donaldson, who runs Intera. And folks, you are going to want this. It's U.S. made. It's smart targets. It's COP proof. You put them down, you push it in there, and the results we're seeing is, on some of the data sets, 0.003 centimeters on the z-axis.
No,
So
that's
now
incredible.
it's accurate, repeatable, defendable data. That's Josh Sexton's word, who runs the reality capture for Stantec. So again, they need repeatable data, and so that's where it is. And then we get into our ship and sensor. We're ship and sensor agnostic, but we have Skydio, Wingtro, Whisper, FreeFly, Phase One. Again, and it's, you need capture, you need quality. What's the right tool for the job? And that could be satellite. It could be whichever that's being ingested into it. And I say it and everyone hates it. I said, strap it to a flying unicorn. I don't care. Just get good overlap and good data, and the rest will be in there. But it works very, and to your point is that it's the village, and we have, the Frontier Precisions, the Grescos, the folks that are out, putting that out to the field. Some are core ecosystems, some were agnostic. We process a tremendous amount of DJI. We are a global company, so we'll let the powers that be decide, what that is. Again, we try to be Switzerland as it comes to the, to the data. But to your point, and it's really important, and I think that's where folks really appreciate it, is that gNext is never going to claim to be the smartest folks in the room, but we will say we are the best listeners. And so we understand where it's going. And so we work with, the capture OEMs, we're on the software OEMs, and then also the consultant and the asset owner, all working in collaboration. That's why IHEAP is such a phenomenal thing. The Federal Highways collaborations in the US is that you solve it for one, you're solving it for all, but everyone thinks, hey, these are my unique problems. Well, you may feel unique, but they're, we're all suffering from those same pain points. And so what we're doing is sharing, and ultimate goal is make our critical infrastructure and our public safety as sound as it can be for our citizens in the country.
That's awesome. And by the way, everybody, of course, we are live, and Greg Larson is one of our super fans. He's out there. He's saying hello from AGS. Interesting stuff. Thanks, Greg. And everybody out there, if you have questions, comments, positive encouragement, jump in the chat. We love all of that stuff. So really cool. And by the way, Bret, I just got something that came across my inbox. You and I talked about this. I saw Intera and Whisper have partnered. So, you're partnered with both, they're partnering with each other. And then as kind of this builds on itself, if you will, like you said, you've got this entire ecosystem and these end-to-end solutions where you can walk into a company like Southern Company and say, we can do this thing for you. So tell us about Southern Company, because you're doing some really cool stuff for them.
Oh, they're one of many, and they're getting their off. They've got tremendous amounts of assets. Their public safety, their response to storms is remarkable. You got Slade Bridges that runs their GIS. You want to talk about a ninja when it comes to MacGyvering all this stuff together. He is remarkable, and they are too. They're growing. They're growing with others, but they've been on the leading and bleeding edge, led by Dean Barfield. Phenomenal director of the program, but you're starting to look, what's some of the low-hanging fruit, and but we're dealing with generation assets, distribution assets, transmission, just even their own infrastructure with their buildings, right? Everyone's got their own, their HVAC, all the equipment. So it's significant. And if, you speak to just utilities in general, if you listen or believe what you hear on the news, is that our grid needs to 3x to keep up with what's going on. And so, the Tennessee Valley authorities, we work with, Arkansas Valley Electric Co-op was one of our first co-ops. And amazingly enough, the co-ops power 2/3 of our country.
Wow.
And distribution and all the rural, so the fiber's on there. So, I mean, it's all very interrelated, but how the substations, how it's going to grow. So everyone's, wrestling with how do we get efficient, and understanding the digital health of our assets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know Southern, just as one example, is like 27,000 miles of energy distribution lines alone. So when you kind of do that math and think about what's all over the country, there's for sure a lot of work to be
Oh,
done.
TVA, Duke, AEP, go on and on. You got the investor owns, then you got the munis, which power a lot, and then the co-ops, and they're all kind of different food groups. They all work a little bit, a little bit differently. We love the co-ops because they're invested in their communities as well, and in the same with these. They're wonderful folks, and when it gets bad, you saw in California, obviously what happened in Asheville and Helene and Milton. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys run to chaos, not from it.
Yeah, well, they have to, right? I mean, society depends on them to keep us going for sure. I want to switch gears a little bit, and you and I talked about some of the certifications, some of the important milestones gNext has ticked off over the last year, really, in terms of some of these security certifications. Tell us a little bit about the cybersecurity of your system.
Well, I'll tell you, that's always been a very interesting when we get yes, once they said yes, we love this, yes, we want to do it. Now it goes to procurement, and then the illustrious IT review.
Yeah.
They're something short of a proctology exam, but not quite so much. But at the same, but it's good. It's wonderful. We pass all those with flying colors. We are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. Your data is secure. I mean, with service providers, I mean, everyone benefits from that level of security. That's how we take that. But also a lot of development that's going on the back end with adding new knowledge bases. So you've got the concrete is one. We're doing that same for towers, and that's moving into other areas, into distribution and whichever. And so again, now that the product is in the cloud, and now it's adding other knowledge bases, substations. We've got one customer has got 1.4 billion square foot of warehouse space, of which 4.5% of the global GDP moves through their warehouses annually.
Wow.
So it's a real estate, but they've got to manage the tenants. They got to manage the HVAC. So now we're combining reality capture with BIM IoT sensors, and now you have true digital twins, living,
Yeah.
breathing through the fourth dimension.
And is all this encrypted?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if you want to talk about who your host is in terms of your cloud server and whatnot.
We are. We're SOC 2 Type 2. We're AWS, and that it's domiciled in the US. So everything is here. Although we're expanding into Canada, our partners at LiveView, who are fantastic. We're into Israel, Latin America. We've got many customers in Europe, New Zealand, Australia. So we are. We've been flying higher on the radar in other areas than here, but it seems like with our global media partner, I think that's all about going to change.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, look, let's tell people how this actually works as a practical matter from a pricing standpoint, Bret. This is software as a service. So if I'm looking to work with you, am I buying a subscription then? Is it monthly? How does that exactly work?
It is, and it's interesting you bring it to, because we meter data just like energy, right? It's like gas in the tank. You process, you got to put some more in it. So building the right subscription, it's a function of usage, right? And we measure imagery data by the gigapixel, and we measure other data, which is video, anything else, by the gigabyte. And so it's building that plan. They start. Enterprise starts off modest. That's where some start. Some come in and say, these are starting at 5 figures, but many where these are going to probably be 7 and 8 figure accounts as it comes to data. Because one of the things you'll find too, and I said, I love our competitors, each and every one of them, because competition validates market. And if you don't have competition, you probably don't have a market. But in that, some will say, hey, it's unlimited, right? Big print giveth, until you read a fair usage clause, right?
Yeah.
Big print giveth, do you use it too much? So we charge the way we are. And it's a conversation that we have very regularly. And where are you with your program? If it's just starting off, hey, start at the beginning, get it into your workflow. And then build, what you need, right? Get started, get in your workflow, find out missions, how many images, what's this data going to have, help us decide. So it's a little moving target, but at the same time, it's going to become the standard of how it is, you think of the amount of data, an interesting point. I said, hey, you've got this $2.7 billion bridge. I said, if I were able to carve out 10% of that to know that the other 90% was going to be spot on, would that be of value? And the answer was, heck, I'd give you 40% to know the other 60% was right.
Yeah.
So when you take it from a project level, what's 40% of 2.7 billion? But it's the value in there. So each project's got to have some component of data, that's in there. And that's one of the changes that we're in the process of making the easiest software to use, the easiest to buy. And that's resellers and partners and things of that nature.
No, I love that it's not one size fits all, because, like you said, there might be a ginormous bridge project compared to like, hey, I'm just starting out, work with me and customize that plan. So do you work with people too, Bret, in terms of, a monthly kind of invoice or battle rhythm versus like, hey, here's an annual,
typically it's annual. There are some, depending on the size, we can look at that. I hate to throw it out. It's because it's very case specific.
Yeah.
And the same is that
it's like the lawyer answer, right? It depends.
I know you are. I learned. Well, it does. It said it's what are you doing? What are the mission sets in there? And and we have one customer, remarkable customer, has more X-10 flights than any human on the planet. I think he's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700, all from the comfort of his desk, and they're utilizing a lot of video. So it's just again, it's what makes sense to you. And again, that's where we come in as a trusted advisor along with anyone else. Is that because if you could say, hey, I consumed, we did however many, you can go to our plans page and you can say how many, you can say I did this many missions, this camera and this. If you could say, Bret, I need 40,000 gigapixels, that's really easy. Here's where it is. But if you said, I don't have experience, how do I grow? And can look at your historical consumption. That's a little more challenging. And what's crazy is that actually the public safety guy goes, well, we did this many. This is said, I need 2,000 gigapixels. Like, right on. Where an agency or an agency that does this for a living goes, well, I don't know.
That's so funny. Well, we're going to talk about all the places you go. Like everybody out there, you think I travel a lot. This guy, what were you on the road 4 weeks out of 5 in the last month and a half?
Hey, one second.
As he leaves the screen, here we go. Oh, okay. Well, let's just go there then. So, you know what? I'm not even.
This is my 3 years. This is only gNext badges.
All right. Well, hold on a minute. I'm gonna deviate too.
Michael's gonna hate us.
He is hating us already. But you know what? I can't even. They're like on my lamp, and I can't take them off. And I just made a giant ball of a mess out of them, like a twine ball. But yeah, I've got like about, I don't know, 100 plus on there. So you're just gonna have to believe me because I tried to do the visual like Bret.
No, I know.
It didn't work for me.
I see you and follow you. But no, I just came off of 6 conferences in 5 weeks on the road. Next to be in Texas for federal highways. The week after, back in Tampa, working with First, Pasco County, and the Flowcon crew. From there, we'll head to Distributech. And then you got AUVSCI, Reality Capture Network. We got iHeap, which is a monster. iHeap is awesome. Commercial UAV, exponential, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And fun fact, everybody, like I'm not going to all those places he just said, but I will be at Exponential running Law Tech Connect again this year, our 4th annual, and Bret is a scholar, by the way, buddy. You have to sign up and use the code, please, soon.
I know.
I'm looking forward to having you there. But let's talk about what you guys have coming up. I mean, you've come so far. You in terms of this platform, you said really 10 years, kind of on the 3 on the whiteboard, 7 in earnest as a company out there doing things. You've grown an entire ecosystem around your software and your services. As you look forward to 2025, besides all these awesome conferences you're going to, what else can we expect from gNext?
More data fusion. We're merging ship sensors to, again, be able to really, the inspect assist is what's going to really grow a tremendous amount. We've got features and functionalities we work with, and we're building an advisory committee on some of the small features and functionalities, just to enhance that experience and ease of use. I mean, we've got PDs that are using this. I mean, the easy use is there, but really more knowledge base. Like I said, we've got, the concrete, then we're in the towers, and we'll be into the substations, then to the HVAC. And I think that's where we're going to see it. And we don't build something, just so folks are aware, we do not build something and hope they will come. We are solving a very specific problem, and paying customers go to the head of the development line, said, hey, this is what we need, from reports to whichever. We're very nimble when it comes to that. So I think you're going to see more of it. I think there's more ships and sensors out there. There's going to be more partnerships and alliances. We're very excited about our new partnership. I mean, our resellers are fantastic. We're helping them grow too, because they're, are not comfortable with it. So we're getting them enabled. We're really excited about working with Peter Van Kirk at Safeware, and some of that contracting. So, I mean, procurements, I'm going to become a ninja at procurement and understanding how to navigate this bureaucracy. But I mean, so much so that we're looking and talking with Federal Highways and FEMA to connect. You got all these silos. I mean, I think maybe the things that you're going to see is Gardner kicking down some silos and getting everyone collaborating. That's my personal mantra.
No, I love that. I mean, I think that's why we get along, because that's what I try to do too. And to watch this guy, by the way, operate a Geo Week from the RCN Reality Capture Network Super Bowl party, go Birds, to just like, the floor, and then the booth you had where we did the stream from. This guy's everywhere, and he knows everybody. So it's so great to have you on the show, Bret, talking about gNext and explaining what you guys are doing and where you're going. If someone wants to learn more, they want to partner with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, maybe we can share with you. I mean, I always love the LinkedIn, and thank you for that. My true gift is relations in the fourth dimension, and it's a gift from my mother. And so I said it fuels me. And you said the love is, just as you do, I love connecting good people with good people, because good things happen where good people meet and collaborate. But as far as getting to us, gNext Labs is there. You can certainly, if you want a demo, it's there. Maybe we can share a link. But usually we're pretty open to have a conversation. But it's gNext Labs, labs.com. We'll share some of that. Also a QR code that you can take right in and say, hey, I'd love to learn more. And that could be 15 minutes, just discovery call, 45 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes is a demo, but sometimes we need an hour. But we're there, and our mantra is always, your success is our success. And so if you're not successful in using this, then we don't feel that way. We're all about support. And again, that's why we're growing our resellers, to help support this better, to help grow it. Because like I said, this is a tsunami of a wave. You're either going to ride it and hang 10, or you're going to get munched into the reef. The choice is yours. And again, we're here to help as that trusted advisor, because we're in a unique position being at the data, right? We get to talk to all the manufacturers. We talk to all the other, all the other companies, around the globe, and they're all talking. It's the same challenge, right? And you said it's the same challenge. And I think, and blessings to Abraham, Russ, Jamie, and all of our dev team. Hats off to you guys for getting here. I'm just a monkey that bangs on the keys, and I'm an evangelist. So I'm the least technical guy in the room.
When I get the visual monkey, I get the visual of the symbols, dude. No, the symbols. You're like, that's what you're doing. So, anyway, right. On that note, we are at the end of our time. I knew it would fly, Bret. Before we close out today, why don't you give us some concluding remarks, and again, let people know how they can best reach you.
Yeah, and again, I just give thanks to all of you. And you said, reach out, keep communicating, stay on LinkedIn. There's a lot of intelligence there. We're excited about the future. We you know, we love our partners. We love our competitors. We're easy to get a hold of. Reach out and let's connect and see if we can't build a mutually beneficial relationship.
All right, I love it. All right, everybody, that is all she wrote for today. Next month, by the way, we are kicking off a month dedicated to public safety and defense. So these are some of your folks there too, Bret. Mark 43 is going to be on the show. They are sponsoring that month, so check us out. In the meantime, have a great week. We are out here.